I'll be honest, I never thought this day would come. I was a firm believer that this anime wasn't real, because the initial announcement was made well over 2 years ago, and anytime anyone would ask Mashima, who if you don't know is the actual creator of Fairy Tail, for an update, the response would basically always be, I can't really say much, but it's coming soon. It was then later revealed that allegedly that particular announcement was made before the anime even went into pre-production. Now, I don't know how true that actually is, which is why I threw the allegedly in there, but considering how long it's been without an update, I got a feeling that that might very well be true. But regardless, it's time to set the stage. Before that happens though, actually, make sure to leave a like. It's been a while since I've made a Fairy Tail video, and if you want me to make more, that's the best way to let me know. But anywho, the date was March 11th, 2024. It was just like any other day. Rumors and speculation was running rampant. But then, leaks started to appear about the staff, character designs, everything. Then finally, at 10 p.m., the official Fairy Tail Twitter account dropped this. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it was on this day that after 2 long years, the confirmation was given that this anime was in fact not only real, but also releasing July 2024. Needless to say, the fandom went crazy. It got us all fired up, in a sense. It was trending, Twitter was going crazy. The Fairy Tail anime is once again upon us all after, in total, I believe about 5 years since the final season ended. But that excitement, however, was then met with some hesitation as soon as the studio and the staff were revealed. Because 100 Years Quest is not being animated by the same studio that handled the original anime, or even the 2014 to 2018 era. Cloverworks and A1 Pictures are now gone, and the studio that has taken its place is none other than the internet's favorite animation studio, JC Staff. Now, I'm sure that immediately fills a ton of people with dread, since many were hoping for a more high-profile studio to take this series on. And I know more will probably be even more disappointed when they realize that the team that's working on 100 Years Quest is essentially the same team that made Eden Zero Season 2, which was not a horrible season, but it wasn't certainly anywhere near the best. But before anyone panics immediately and writes this off as a doomed adaptation, I think it's necessary to wait for more to be seen. After all, the literal only thing we have to go off of for what the anime looks like is a 2-second clip of Natsu. But in the meantime, I'd like to go over the staff and what I think some positives and negatives are that coincide with this particular team. So firstly, let's start with the most positive thing on this list in my opinion, and that is the music. For it, we have the return, and be warned here, I'm gonna be saying a lot of Japanese names, so I'm not gonna get all these right. I just want to say sorry as like a prefix. Takanashi Yashiharu. He created the original Fairy Tail soundtrack, and just from that snippet in the trailer, I can immediately say that once again, he's created something iconic. There was never a doubt in my mind that if this anime was gonna be made, that he might not return. Takanashi, in my eyes, is just as integral to the identity of Fairy Tail as Tetsuya Kakehira, the voice of Natsu, who has also been confirmed to return. Now, another positive is Shoji Hata. Initially, I had no idea who this guy was because I'm not too well versed in sound direction, but Shoji, like the other two mentioned, also worked on Fairy Tail. But in addition to that, Shoji's resume is actually pretty stacked. He's worked on things like Eden Zero, Hunter x Hunter, Vinland Saga, Rurouni Kenshin, One Punch Man, and even Pokemon. And all of those series sound amazing when it comes to the sound effects department, so I'm expecting him to deliver like he seemingly always does. And the last true total positive for me on this list is Yurika Sako. the character designer. Now, I'm well aware that quite a few people are not the biggest fans of this guy, and that's semi-understandable considering, but looking at his character sheets, it's clear to me that he's got Mashima's style down. A lot of the problems that occur that can mess with his designs, I believe, are due to direction, the overall color palette, and the animation department. From personal experience, I know Mashima's style can be pretty hard to nail, so as long as this time around, there are more corrections made in the animation stage to make these characters more in line with Mashima and Sako's work, we'll be good. With all that out of the way though, it's time to move on to, I know I said the positives and the negatives, but I don't want to use that word here. I'll say it's some things that have me a tad concerned, okay? Let's start with the director, Toshinori Watanabe. Mind you, he has been able to churn out some pretty impressive work. I mean, he was responsible for episode 10 of Eden Zero Season 2, which was stellar. However, I'm not too familiar with his work outside of Eden Zero, and from his accolades, it looks like he's worked as a key animator for far longer than an actual director. Needless to say, I'm a bit nervous about this one, and I share the same sentiment with the chief director, Shinji Ishihara, because while he may have storyboarded and been a part of some pretty incredible stuff like Dragon Ball Super Superhero, the first 2 My Hero Academia movies, the first season of 7 Deadly Sins, and so much fairy tale stuff, some of his work, particularly Black Clover, isn't that great in my opinion. But I think, at the end of the day, what will make or break this adaptation ultimately is the studio. Because even if a director is absolute garbage, you give him more than enough time, and he's gonna turn out something halfway decent. And the studio, as I mentioned before, is the somewhat dreaded JC staff. A studio that for me, personally, is the definition of hit or miss. They tend to take on more projects than they can actually handle, which results in some very middle-of-the-road quality, unfortunately. But on the other hand, if the departments that are in charge of these shows are given the proper time, a decent budget, and a sizable workforce, a truly incredible show can come to fruition. So the question then becomes, was that time, money, and workforce given to Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest? At this point, I just can't say because I don't know. This show has been in the works for 2+ years, so I and everyone else can only wait and hope for the best. I do believe this will be better than Eden Zero just based off of this series being 1,000 times more popular, but how much better is just another question I also don't have the answer to. But one thing I do know for sure is that I will see you all in July when Fairy Tail finally returns. Well, at least the anime, because the manga's been going for who knows how long. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much for watching. I hope that you all enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And while you're down there doing all of that, let me know, are you nervous for this new anime? I'm very curious to know. But with all that said, I will see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody!